Recorded live from Random Secret Studios in Philadelphia and across the Delaware Valley.
I'm the Capo. He's the Prez.
And this is Sons of Ben, the pod. Gentlemen, everyone, welcome back to Sons of Ben, the pod. Adam, this is episode number 1, Mr. Danny Briere, the man that brought the dupe to the Flyers.
I feel like stole. The word stole is the thing I'm going to say on that one, but I appreciate it nonetheless. But hey, it's okay.
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
Episode number 48, and we have a very special guest. This week's guest is Mr. Chris Branscombe, who, let me get these titles right. You are the CEO of the Eastern Pennsylvania Youth Soccer Association, and you're also what I consider the leader of the Executive Leadership Council for the Philadelphia bid for the World Cup 2026. Thanks for coming on, Chris.
Sure, I'm glad to be here. Geez, I don't know if I'm the leader of the leaders, but just happy to be part of the team.
For me, you're definitely the leader because you're the only person I knew to con my way on that, so it's great. Little bit of business for everyone. And Chris, we apologize. Before the pandemic, we'd have everybody in the studio and we'd have a beer with one of our sponsors. But now we're just trying to let people know. Remember, Yards, 2SP, and the Larimer take care of the breweries that take care of us. And Chris, you're in an elite list of people we now owe a beer to for the next time we get together in public.
I'll take it. I owe other people beers, so evens at the ledger.
Just dip into our stash. We've got it coming from Yards, 2SP, or the Larimer. All right, let me run through a little bit of Sons of Ben news real quick, and then we can get into everything with Chris. Elections starting tomorrow or the day Devin produces this. We will have elections for the Sons of Ben board. So look for that email and get ready to vote early and vote often. World Cup 2026. Get to www.philadelphia2026.com. Pledge your support. Drunken Union Zoom is still going strong, everybody. Every Friday at 7:30. Devin, you got anything for the Discord for the people?
Not much. It's slow and steady over there. It's the off season.
Not a lot of Minnesota fans or Seattle fans on the Discord?
Not a lot of Seattle fans. More from Minnesota, yeah.
And the only thing I have till we get to our discussion with Chris was just 2 big losses in the Philadelphia sports community. So just messages, condolences to family and friends of both Dick Allen and John Smallwood. Just wanted to say, both people will be greatly missed in the sports landscape of Philadelphia. All right, guys, we have Chris Branscombe. So, Chris, the way I met you was because, you were kind enough to ask to see if I would help out with the World Cup bid 2026. And just wanted to get a little bit of your background and then get into what is going on with the bid. So how did you get involved in all of this? Because you've got a rich history in Pennsylvania soccer.
Once upon a time, I was a player. So I grew up in the Philadelphia area and started playing back in 1976 when nobody else was. And, had everybody make fun of us for playing that game. But Pele had just arrived and it started to become popular and somewhat well known. And, we had the Adams here and I vaguely remember then. Then the Fury came and I got to know them a little bit. I played at LaSalle High School. I played at Villanova. So Jim Curtin is the second best player from there. No, yeah, I barely got off the bench. And that was just to get a drink. And but I got into coaching right after college and became involved with Eastern Pennsylvania way back in the early 90s. I was an Olympic development program coach, and I coached about 5 or 6 different colleges over my career. Locally, I coached at Villanova. I coached at St. Joe's. I was at Widener for a brief period as well. I played the amateur level for many, many years. I kind of sort of retired as a player due to COVID and some injuries. So I am over the half-century mark in age, so I at least played competitively for quite some time. I got involved on the professional side with one of my colleagues on the Leadership Council, Richard Groff, who was a former vice president of the Federation and was once the president of Eastern Pennsylvania. He was the commissioner of the American Professional Soccer League, and he plucked me out to be the director of operations back in, it was 94. So in 95, we were the top level of professional soccer in North America with 5 American teams and 2 Canadian teams. Well, actually, we were at 8, but on the very first day of my job, Ricky Davis, if you remember that name, former captain of the U.S. team, Ricky was the general manager of a team called the LA Salsa. I'm in the job for about an hour when I get a call from him. He was literally on a plane, when you remember phones used to be on planes, to dictate a letter to me that the team was dropping out of the league. So my first day on the job, we lose a team, and I wasn't sure if I really had a job. But we ended up, I think we had 7 teams that season. Vancouver Whitecaps and Montreal Impact were 2 of the teams, actually.
But how did the league recover from losing a team like the LA Salsa?
I mean, when you lose the salsa, no party, man.
I mean, first off, that might be one of the greatest names in American soccer history. Like, I feel like we're glossing over the lead here. The LA Salsa, how has that not been revived? Like, how did LAFC pass that over? I don't even know what we're doing here.
Yeah, it was a good-looking logo, too. It had a little bit of flame coming off the L and the A. They had some quality players, too. But
I want a retro jersey now.
Right? I'm anti this whole everyone got to be FCs now, and, like, everyone's like New York City Football Club. Like, no. I want us to go back to, like, the San Jose Clash. I want obnoxious team names again. And the Los Angeles Salsa speaks to me in that category.
I'm with you. I wish the American soccer tradition was a little on its own and not so much of the faux European. So I've always appreciated that the Columbus Crew became Columbus Crew SC. And even at our team, we're just Philadelphia Union. We didn't go in for the FC or any of those things. But the travels went on, and I ended up coming back to Philadelphia to start the Philadelphia Kicks in the indoor league. And I was there for 2 years. And little known fact, but the NPSL and indoor soccer kept professional soccer alive in this country for many years after the decline of the old NASL. But there, I hooked up with a lot of great people in the sport, both as players, coaches, administrators, many who go back to the NASL. Many are still involved today. Just a quick shout out to Don DeAmbra, who kept the Kicks alive for years as a player and a coach. He's now coaching at St. Joe's. Dave McWilliams, the former coach, great friend of mine, recovering from COVID, by the way. He spent 2 weeks in a hospital. But Dave has been, Temple coach for 19 years, and he's over at Montgomery United still, working with the youth. Pat Morris with the Kicks, and he just took a job. I can't remember where he is at now, but he just took a job at the college level, I believe. But then after that, I spent some years at the college level as an administrator at different athletic departments until I went to U.S. Youth Soccer. And I was in the Dallas headquarters of U.S. Youth Soccer for 7 years. I was the director of marketing for the National Association, and then came back here 12 years ago to take over Eastern Pennsylvania. And it's been a great return to my roots. And, of course, the union started the very same year I returned. So we've kind of been at this together for all these years, and it's been a great time. And watching soccer kind of reemerge and explode over the last decade has just been something that I've wanted for this area and dreamed of for a long time. So I'm just glad we're doing something like this. This never would have happened, 10 years ago, and certainly not 30 years ago when I started.
Yeah, even 10 years ago feels like a lifetime for some of us. Like for people in the Sons of Ben, where the team's been around 11 years, 2010 feels like a lifetime ago between on the field and off the field. But I did notice one thing. Devin, tell me if you noticed this. When Chris was mentioning that his friend was the coach of the St. Joseph University Hawks, did Adam's eyes light up thinking he finally has a way of getting a jersey? Adam's a proud alumni of St. Joe's and has been wanting a men's jersey from that team and can't find one anywhere. So he might be getting in touch with you offline to bid on a.
I'll see what I can do. Still have many good friends over there.
It was always a fun game because I worked with Don DeJulia in the athletic department forever, and I was working with the men's basketball team for like with all the fan relations and all that for the longest time. So I got all of the gifts in the universe. I got like a bunch of hoodies and all the like other merch that one gets in college. But I was always just like the year I was there, St. Joe's was wearing the exact replicas of the Where's Waldo jerseys the U.S. national team was wearing, but in Hawk colors. And I was just like, I might sell a small village for that jersey. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I would do terrible things to achieve that garment. But that's long gone. So just really anything with St. Joe's, I'm fine.
Well, that's one of my coaching stops. I worked in the athletic department. I was the head of marketing, and Don DeJulia is one of the all-time greats. But being a Villanova alum, I love St. Joe's, but I got rid of all my stuff. Otherwise, I would have saved it for you.
Look, man, I'm from Wayne, so legitimately, I had Villanova ties my entire life. So you know, I went to Jay Wright basketball camp, so I know.
All right, now back to business. So, Chris, we've talked about it on the pod a lot, but can you explain to everybody out there, our members, our listeners, what exactly is the Philly 2026 bid? Because a lot of people are like, wait, I thought we were in on this. Thought we had this for when it was going to be, 2020 or whatever the World Cup that the U.S. thought they had. So can you explain to everybody what we're trying to do to make sure we're bringing World Cup matches to Philadelphia?
Yeah, so it's fine. I just gave another talk to another business group yesterday, and this is the third time in my lifetime, professional lifetime for sure, that Philadelphia's tried to bid on the World Cup. 94, we had no good stadium. It was the Vet and Franklin Field, so that wasn't really going to happen. The next time was a decade ago, and we were bidding for 2022. And actually, Philadelphia was one of the actual cities. It was a different structure then that U.S. Soccer was the local organizing committee, a different bid process with FIFA. We were one of the final cities. So had Qatar not stolen that from us, Philadelphia would have been, hosting games a year from now in that World Cup. So in 2016, when U.S. Soccer announced that we're going to go at it one more time in connection with Mexico and Canada, Larry Needle from the Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce and PHL Sports, who is his job to bring big events to the city, I think I was on the phone to him in about 30 seconds and said, let's go. And he said, you're on. And so we started amassing all the information for the bid package back in 2016. And of course, that great morning in June of 2018 from Russia, when they announced that our United bid won. Again, it was awesome. It was, bleary-eyed, 6 a.m. Hopefully you guys were awake watching that as well.
Actually, I was.
Yeah, a huge moment. But then the real work was to begin. And what was then the case? We had 17 United States cities to bid on 10 spots for the United States. There's three cities to Canada, 3 cities to Mexico, 10 for the United States. So the list back in 17 had started with nearly 30 cities. They got down to the 17, and we actually were in an event in Houston in November of 2018 where they brought us all together. And so we got all the information. We were preparing for this, and we're ready for this great ride to an announcement that should come by early 2020 at the latest. Well, that's come and gone. But nonetheless, the bid is for Philadelphia to be one of the final 10 cities. I know one of your questions is going to be is who do we have to beat out? And
we're competitive. We want to know who we got to go head to head with.
I'll fight a mayor. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll make it happen.
Well, let me just say this: strategically, we're not saying that there's any one or two particular cities, but the Eastern Seaboard's a crowded field. I don't think we're concerned about Cincinnati or Kansas City or Denver. But a lot of great cities, and even just the soccer heritage cannot be beat in Philadelphia. And to miss out on Philadelphia, which obviously we'll be also celebrating the 250th anniversary of our country here where it all began. Another city that's in the bid, people are saying, well, the capital is important. And I said, yes, it's true, because we were the first capital. So there's too much history, both in terms of and are you ready for this? For the semi-quincentennial. That's your vocabulary word for today.
Yeah, that's a SAT word.
Yeah. So the semi-quincentennial and everything that happened around the revolution and so forth, but just the history we have here is just incredible. And again, this presentation I was making yesterday, I was reminding or teaching a lot of people from our business community that soccer's been played in Philadelphia for about 140 years. It goes back before the last century, and the first league was created in 1889. Soccer belongs here, and it certainly didn't just show up, with the union on the professional level, and it didn't show up when we started 50 years ago, and it predates even 1913 when the Eastern Pennsylvania Soccer Association got started in full. We split from the adults 50 years ago, but it's in our blood, it's in the DNA of the city, and it's something that we just need to get across to the business community, the soccer community, sports fans, because this is so huge to both the growth and development of our sport, but the economic impact to Philadelphia is worth tens of millions of dollars when you look at the potential, the number of hotel rooms, the flights, the trains, the dinners, the trips to the pub that we know soccer fans certainly will enjoy. It's a great economic driver for this city, and I think I know that the mayor's office, the Chamber of Commerce, many of the business leaders, they all know this, and everybody at that level's behind that, and that's what's going to make this thing really work.
So just for people that might not know, who's the one that has the final say in all of this? Who's the one that actually makes this final decision?
Yeah, it's a good question because as I alluded to with the last bid process, U.S. Soccer was the local organizing committee, and they got to select the cities. But this time, for the first time, FIFA will be solely in charge of the event. So even, Russia in 18 and Qatar in 22, they still have the local organizing committee set up. So this time, FIFA is making all the decisions. And of course, this is also the first event going to be 48 teams, not 32. And then you throw COVID into the mix and the backup of the international schedule. Again, we thought we would have had an announcement by now, but we feel 2021 is the key year. Now, again, having said that, U.S. Soccer's very involved, as are the Canadians and the Mexican Federation. Those two federations have easier decisions. Mexico, I believe, has already said Monterrey, Guadalajara, and Mexico City. Canada is, they haven't named them, but very likely it's Toronto, Montreal. Edmonton was on the original bid list. I don't know how or why anybody would want to make that trip that far north. Vancouver did not bid. But they still, if the Canadians decide to use Vancouver, that's their discretion. But Dan Flynn, who was the recently retired Secretary General of U.S. Soccer, he is the consultant for U.S. Soccer to drive the bid committee, and he will make recommendations. He will provide additional information to the FIFA staff members, and it's FIFA staff that we're working with. So we don't have political influence so far. We haven't seen it and don't expect it at this point, as you have been told or heard through all the many previous years of how they did select World Cup sites.
So, with that said, for our listeners and our members, what can the Sons of Ben members do? What kind of action can we take at this point to make sure that FIFA understands that people of Philadelphia want to host the World Cup?
Well, number one, and the most current thing that we're asking everyone to do is go to Philadelphia2026.com and go to our website and sign up to join the team, as it says. So we want to basically amass a list of supporters by just giving us your email. I suppose we could call it a petition or whatever you'd like, but let's get everybody on board. I mean, I think from talking to you guys, and Matt's also helped us organize of sorts the supporters clubs of the European teams. So we got a great group there of the Bundesliga, Chelsea, a couple of the Italian teams.
Even Devon's Tottenham people are on board. It's weird.
Yeah, and great group of guys, and they just volunteered. Here, we'll give you our databases, and I think that's something we could all easily do from an organizational perspective. Could we just supply our databases? Yeah, we could do that. We want to do this organically as well, and grow the grassroots. I mean, between my organization, we have 120,000 youth players. So, we could supply, almost 100,000, unique emails, overnight if we wanted to go that route. Of course, there's the union season ticket holders database. There's the database between both the Eagles and the Union of international matches that we sold in this city. So we could come up with that many fans and supporters of the sport easily and go out to the world and say, yeah, we've got 200,000 people that are on board. But we would like to see some organic growth and get people to do this, on their own before we go those routes. So that's the first thing that we're asking individuals to do. For organizations, we're asking them to help spread general awareness in the branding, so that we lost opportunity last spring. If you guys remember, I'm sure you do, that we were supposed to host the Premier League Mornings live show, and it was going to be down at City Hall back at the beginning of April. And we were expecting, we're looking for like 10 to 15,000 people each day. I mean, we had done so much work. We were going to shut down all the streets around City Hall, and it was going to be like the greatest soccer party of all time. Yep. Second to the eventual day where they select Philadelphia, of course, for the World Cup. We were going to launch the new logo. It was going to be up on the sides of buildings. It was going to be on street banners and light pole banners. There was nowhere the cameras were going to go without seeing that new great multicolor logo that was developed. Now, as FIFA can get a little unwieldy and maybe sometimes I won't say difficult, but not easy to deal with, they decided to, after the fact, change what they wanted to do with the branding and the logo. So number of cities had these logos that we wanted to unleash and sell merchandise, but they need to FIFA-ize it and put it in a box with their official language on it. So we were hoping to have merchandise for sale for Christmas through our great partners at Angelo's Soccer Corner. Go to angelosoccercorner.com for all your good Christmas gifts. Unofficial plug. But yeah, that we're going to be able to get that out soon enough. But there are pre-made web banners and other already designed pieces of art and design that people can actually use at their own discretion. We've had it on our website at epysa.org. Through all of our other friends and partners, we've provided those links, and a number of organizations have started to put that up so people can see both social media and the web. The union did a great job during the season. They ran things on the field boards and made a lot of mentions during the broadcasts. And of course, we're all going to do that all over again throughout 2021. And then, ultimately, we all really hope we're all going to be able to do this in person real soon. And, Premier League mornings will come back to Philadelphia, that we could do things at some of your favorite breweries who Matt and I have had some fun discussions with. So I think that's the fun and integration we can all put into this as a city and as a soccer community. And then the third thing is when FIFA finally says they're coming for the site visits. And when we are ready for that, we will certainly let you guys know, because we want to, line the streets. We want to be around their hotel. We want to just make it so obvious that this is the choice. They just can't deny the groundswell of support from all the folks like you.
To me, it feels, just logistically on its face, if you were talking about the crowdedness of North America, and especially the East Coast, you're talking about New York, Boston, DC, all of these cities, and I look at the structure that we're supposed to do this with. Like, we're not going to be playing most of these games in MLS stadiums. We're going to be playing these in football stadiums. We're going to be playing these in these 60 to 70,000 stadiums. Well, Boston Stadium is in Foxborough, which is nowhere near Boston, has terrible logistics to get to it, not near really that many airports. That doesn't seem like a really feasible one. I mean, you're obviously going to put one in New York because duh, but like East Rutherford's easy enough to get to, but like, are you going to send them to FedEx Field if you're going to send them to DC, which is also another logistical nightmare? If you send them down to Miami, are they going to Hard Rock, which is like nowhere near actual Miami itself? Like, Philadelphia, to me, for so many reasons, just feels like almost a slam dunk. Like, I understand the effort that we got to put into this, but I'm saying on a logistical reason, if FIFA just looks at it and says, all right, airports nearby, stadiums downtown, accessible to all these hotels, accessible to all these public transportation systems, right near the Eastern Seaboard, so a lot of different international airports can connect to it.
Training facilities galore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just seems like, I feel that we should all do our part here. I'm not bemoaning that process at all. In fact, I love it. And the fact that someone decided to put Matt on a committee of anything, to me, is fantastic. and I cherish that. But just to me, it's just like, yeah, you're going to put it in New York. You're going to put it in LA. You might put one in Santa Clara, I guess, because that's just how you might want to vote. But like Philadelphia just feels like where else are you going to put it? It's just like, are you going to go to Minneapolis? Like, where are you going to go with this? It just feels weird.
Based on that, we're going to buy you a ticket to Switzerland and just walk in the FIFA front door and say all those things.
If you want me to go to FIFA headquarters right now, I will mask up. I'll wear a hazmat suit, and I will tell these people, you don't even have to put much effort into this. I'm a logic person. I'm a homer, obviously, but I'm a bit of a logic person, and just logistically, it makes too much sense.
I feel like Adam would be like our prime candidate for if we need one singular person represent Philadelphia, it's Adam Booth. Come on.
That's a lot of pressure, and I don't need that pressure, but I appreciate your vote of confidence, my friend.
I was going to say, Devin, you've never seen Adam capoing. Like, he's a nervous wreck. Don't put that pressure on him just yet. I mean, we've got to get a couple of beers in him. Let's coax him, massage him into it.
Look, Switzerland has some good beverages. I might be able to massage my way into that.
But I mean, Chris and I talked exactly what Adam was saying. We're like, man, if DC's and Boston are a competition, we should squash them because we we've got all these beautiful hotels. You can get to the link in 15 minutes. If you are in the Ritz-Carlton or the Four Seasons, Washington, D.C., it might take you an hour and a half to get to FedEx Field with a police escort. I mean, but it's FIFA, and we still have to do our part. So what we're going to tell the members and the listeners is like, don't just you sign up as a supporter. Get your mom, get your sister, get your aunt, get everybody to sign up, because this isn't just a soccer thing. This is a whole Philadelphia pride thing where we want to make sure the biggest sporting event in the world is in our city, and a significant part of it is in our city, So
And if not, just send them the tapes we have from all the U.S. games that have been in Philadelphia. Send them the tape from the game where we had the most supporters at a women's national game that wasn't an actual World Cup competition ever. Send them the tapes when the Gold Cup came here and we did that without a hitch. We sold the stadium out and the Americans weren't even in the final. Like, that's the type of stuff that, we bring to the table. To me, push it as hard as we can, but like, I'm looking at, I know Sepp Blatter got nothing to do with it anymore, but I'm looking at FIFA and I'm just like, come on, like what do I have to actually do here? Like, I gave you everything you needed.
You guys, you're all spot on with all your comments, and again, the passion you guys have is what we have to bring out in some way, in our own special Philadelphia way. And certainly that doesn't mean, throwing snowballs at Santa Claus and all that kind of stuff.
Throw snowballs at Sepp Blatter, whatever.
Right. But look, Philadelphia, and this is all in our big package. We're one of the most walkable cities in America. It's again, you guys mentioned it. The hotels downtown and straight shot down Broad Street to get to the stadium. SEPTA's going to participate. And have, free and discounted rides on game days, and other types of things, the amenities that the fans want when they come to visit, because you're bringing people from all around the world, and they're going to come. They're following their team, so they will come to Philadelphia for 2 to 3 days, to experience Philadelphia and go to the museums and go to the landmarks, go to the restaurants and the bars, and enjoy themselves. And then we have a fan fest that we have to prepare for as well. So that whether you have a ticket or don't, that we're going to have one of the greatest parties going for people to participate in the World Cup atmosphere, which I don't know if any of you guys have ever gotten the opportunity to go to a World Cup, but the activity around it is incredible. It's one of the most fun I've ever had. So I know we can bring that here with ease. That's a given for Philadelphia. Aside from all those, the details that they want, and the logistical things that they need, but it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun when people get here.
I mean, it sounds like 2026 is going to be the 2020 we all deserved. That's all I'm thinking.
No, I be.
Let's not put the two things in the same.
Yeah, can we not? What are you doing? Just stop. No, look,
we got this.
I'm as excited as anyone. I'm ready for this. As a person who, look, I tell everyone my first introduction to soccer as a whole was I watched the '98 World Cup final from a Kmart in Wilmington, Delaware, and that's how I got into the game. Is that spectacle? At whatever level, whether it's like a knockout stage, group stage, semifinal, quarterfinal, whatever. If you can bring that to Philadelphia, that would just be a pinnacle for a fan on a personal level. But just like on the strength, just show them the pen relays. We just show them Live Aid. Show them any of the random events. Show them the NFL draft.
Made in America. Yeah.
All these events that we did.
Yeah,
we brought in 2/3 of the island of Jamaica into Franklin Field and did it seamlessly. Every single last Saturday in April, 2/3 of that island show up and we do it seamlessly and then get right back out. We can handle a World Cup.
All right, as we wrap up this part, Chris, anything that we should be looking forward? I know 2020 is a wash, but 2021, any upcoming events, things we should be looking for after the holiday season to get ready, get geared up to welcome FIFA in, to get feet on the streets? What should we expect in 2021?
Well, as our big team has discussed, 2021 is gearing up to be the year. Um, again, we know FIFA's kind of pushed the timeline back due to all the other events, and again, they have, uh, the Euros were postponed and have to play this year. The Olympics were postponed and have to play this year. Some of the age group World Cups had to be postponed, and of course, Qatar is in a year, and we still have World Cup qualifiers to be played, and they just announced the schedule. I don't know. Maybe there's an opportunity for us to try to bring some of those games here. And of course we are. The Gold Cup is going to be coming back to Philadelphia, and they're going to be playing at Subaru Park in the early rounds this year. So again, we are. I will say a favorite destination for U.S. soccer to bring games to because of the success you already mentioned. But one of the things we're taking a little bit of a period of a break here for the holidays and to regroup, because like I said, the hard work of the other members of the team and the Convention and Visitors Bureau compiling this incredibly huge report that FIFA dumped on us in October in lieu of the site visits. They just wanted to see where we were. I mean, we can architectural drawings on the stadium and the practice facilities. A tremendous amount of work on human rights issues. All very important things. And they just wrapped that up about a week and a half ago. And taking a breather, we're going to regroup after the holiday. We're going to kind of relaunch in a way all the things that we talked about tonight. Just the next wave of awareness and promotional opportunities that we could do all from a social media perspective, online. Perhaps we're going to be able to do some more Zoom meetings as we did with our soccer council, and maybe some others, with the business community as well, to really get people to understand that, again, the depth of the soccer community and the history and the need for this event to come to this city. And then the obvious thing is, I'll say it: wear your masks, keep your distance, wash your hands, stay safe, and we get over all this, and we can get back to doing these things in person and together, like we can all do better than anybody else. So I hope we're ready to do that, and when FIFA decides that they're ready to travel and we're ready to host them, we'll be able to run an awesome show when they get here.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to hop on with us on this, and all I can say is, and I rarely speak for the entire group of the Sons of Ben because I don't think I can do that but we are all on board and cannot wait to bring the World Cup to Philadelphia 2026. So again, thank you so much for hopping on with us, and we are excited for what happens in 2021 to bring this home for 2026. Thanks a lot.
Hey, I'm going to watch a game with you guys from your end of the stadium this year. That's what we got to have happen.
Don't threaten us
right?
with a good time.
You will be on the stand with Adam for that game. Don't worry.
All right. I look forward to that.
All right. Thanks a lot, Chris. All right. Again, I want to thank Chris Branscombe from the Philadelphia Bid 2026 committee for hopping on and giving us just a background on what the hell's going on and what we got to do this year and next year to get this thing happening. Adam, I don't know if you noticed last night, Seattle played Minnesota, and I think it's called, they took a dump on Devin's pick. Did you happen to watch this at all? Like they literally said, "Hey Devin, you said Minnesota's going to win. Hold our beer, eh?" And just shocked the world.
So
Minnesota dumped on your pick, and Columbus dumped on Adam's pick. So I feel like we're all in the same dump here.
Yeah.
I was truly believing in like the underdog story of the Revolution of New England, and they, like in good fashion, ran out of gas when it came to the end. They all those road games came to a head in the Ohioan capital, and it was rough. But
that just proves my theory that nobody wants to play in Columbus, not even the Crew. That's why they moved to Austin. So that's the hardest place to play in Major League Soccer because no one wants to be in that town.
Well, that's why they keep putting U.S. national team games against Mexico there. They're just like, look, maybe it'll snow.
So, speaking of Columbus, it looks like they host Seattle. What are our thoughts on this one, guys? I mean, I know I'm going to watch. I know I don't want to watch, but I'm going to watch.
This is fine. First, shout out to Seattle for a absolute smash and grab.
Oh.
Like, absolute smash and grab. Because, like, they have a Rudy Diaz, so you know that they're never out of it. Because, like, in MLS, I mean, like, it's true in a lot of leagues across the world, but I feel like in MLS, if you have, like, that dude, you're never really truly out of it. Whether it's a Javinko, whether it's a Vela, you had a Bradley Wright Phillips, Thierry Henry back in the day. If you have that dude, you're never truly out of it. So, to think that Seattle was truly out of this game, I thought, when the second Minnesota goal went in, I was just like, if this was 10 minutes later, this would have been the game. But it was just like, and you say this all the time, Matt, or at Union games, that goal was too early.
Too early.
That goal was too early. It's a great goal. It's a fantastic goal, but that goal is too early because the psychology of the game kicks in there. What is Minnesota feeling? That they went from we're defending for our lives to we actually might do this. And the feeling of we actually might do this changes the mentality of playing the game entirely. And you get tight. You don't feel the desperation's a different type. It's not trying to make a play, it's trying to not mess up. And trying to not mess up soccer against a team that's trying to make a play soccer, this is what you get. And look, Seattle's been in the final 4 out of the last 5 years. This isn't like, an accident. This is a historically phenomenal franchise.
From the time Seattle tied it up through stoppage time, I did not think that this was going to go to extra time. No. I just sat there and I go, the way they were pressing and the way that Minnesota looked scared, like we want this 4 minutes to be over as fast as humanly possible, that I go, oh no, that ain't going to be good. Seattle's got this. I mean, and I never felt that way watching a sporting event more in my life. And I'm just like, oh God, they've got this. This is going to happen. And boom. It happened.
I was watching with the Post and Pints podcast people on their Discord last night. Shout outs to the lads. And I actually ran into a Union fan on there too from Lancashire. So it was good to see that the blue and gold.
PA.
No, see, if you say Lancaster, Jared's going to tell you it's only in California. And then I get to punch Jared in the side of the face.
All right, guys. We've got Seattle with the offense that just cannot quit versus the, I'm going to say it's kind of like the Tottenham boring-ass Columbus team right there.
Whoa.
Stick shit in the mud and just kind of like grind you down, like 2020 grinds you down. So who do you guys got?
I got Seattle because Rudy Diaz. And, look, man, I don't trust Columbus to win the whole thing. I think Columbus very much benefited from the Union and Toronto getting out in the first rounds. I do believe Seattle is an authentic contender for MLS Cup. Who did Columbus play?
Us twice at home. That's it.
No, I mean, but like in their playoff run, who did
New
Columbus
England,
play?
and Nashville,
Mm-hmm.
and why is the last one escaping my mind? Red Bull. I'm gonna say Red Bull.
Okay. Which one of those teams is good?
New England was good in November, but that was about it.
But that's what I'm saying. So, and here's another thing, and not to digress, but everyone was talking about, like, how did the Eagles win that Super Bowl? And I'm like, all right, well, if you look back at the Eagles schedule, it was one of the easiest schedules in the NFL at the time. If you look back at the Eagles injury report, like, literally no one got injured that entire year, and all these other things fell into place, and, like, it worked out. Well, no, he did, but, like, other than Carson Wentz, literally no one else got injured. Like, that offensive line stayed healthy for, like, all of those games by an act of God. And so that's how you win a Super Bowl. How did the Phillies win that one World Series? Well, when you have a bullpen that's lights out like the way they did, you make up for the fact that you have 2.5 mediocre starters and a Cole Hamels. All this is to say sometimes you catch breaks. Sometimes you in a one and done tournament, you don't run into all of the good opponents that might have stumbled you, especially if you're playing at home for all of these games. Therefore, I believe a good team is going to come in Columbus and win the tournament.
Devin?
I mean, you say that, but Seattle didn't really have the hardest path either. I mean, Minnesota, FC Dallas, and LAFC. LAFC has not been what they
good.
should have been.
Dallas
FC Dallas,
is a good team.
you know,
Dallas is a good team.
Dallas is a good team,
Dallas
but you can say they're as good as the Revolution are.
No, I think that Dallas has a better top-down roster than the Revolution do. I do believe that.
Don
I mean, I know
Garber
we're
just
splitting hairs, but yeah.
I mean,
Don
listen,
Garber
I mean,
just called me and wanted to thank you guys for hyping up this game so much because, you know.
Well,
I
no,
mean, look, they didn't play KC, they didn't play Portland. Those were the two top teams in the West, other than Seattle. So I don't think they really had the hardest path either. So anyway, I think Columbus. I want Columbus to win. I'd rather see Columbus win. But you know, and you want to talk about an underdog story. I mean, you know, it's going around obviously the whole Columbus story and where they've came from and where they are now. I mean, that's a team you know you can get behind.
Yeah, I'm gonna take your pick and crinkle it up and throw it in the trash, just like that city of Columbus is. Because
Good.
you know what? I've said it before. Some of the people that support the Crew are dirtbags. I don't really like them, and I try to like all the supporter groups. So I'm personal. I'm gonna want Seattle. Plus, I'm gonna want Seattle because if anyone's going to win in the East, it's going to be the Philadelphia Union in 2021. So I'm going total homer pick. But I mean, I can't see, unless Columbus lets Seattle score in the first 5 minutes and then Seattle lays off their laurels, I can't see them stopping them. So I think it's going to be Seattle. And speaking of like heatedness in soccer, guys, Champions League. We watch a little Champions League today, huh?
I was watching some Champions League today.
I got bad news for Devin. Devin, it looks like Manchester United is going to have to go play Tottenham in the Europa.
Like I'm worried about a team we beat 6-1. Come on now.
I did enjoy watching the Champions League cartoon this weekend. They did a Europa Motel episode, and I was like, oh, there's Jose and Harry. How y'all doing? I missed you this season. Where y'all been? There, look at you playing with Roma. That looks so fun down there, don't it?
Worry, we're coming.
I mean,
I'm sure.
There was some crazy. I mean, we see Devin wearing his J is for Jeep jersey, supporting the 3-0 over Barcelona.
I will say this with a caveat that I am not actually a Juventus fan. I got this in a mystery, a plug for away days mystery kits here for my Juventus jersey. But now I don't really have a Serie A team, to be honest. If anything, I'd support Adams Palermo just because he makes me pretty hype over there.
They're not Serie A
with the Serie C.
Look,
well,
and
we're at least in the same geographical country. So.
We're also mid-table right now, and I'm not really excited.
Oh, but there's that.
I'm like, we won the last match, but there was a couple of misfires from Palermo that we can talk about never, but still.
But
So
if we want to start with Juventus, I mean, that Weston McKennie goal. Oh, man.
He looked like,
man.
like, here's me dating myself. He looked like Liu Kang. He literally just coming out here with a whatcha. It was, my God, it was fantastic, you know. It was just watching a lovely.
Mr. Miyagi would have been proud of him. That
All
was
right,
like
you
a
went
flying
older than
kick
I
from-
did. I just went Mortal
I always
Kombat.
have to.
You were just like, nope, Karate Kid. Screw the whole
Karate
thing
Kid.
up. Let's do it.
But
No.
no, and we mentioned it earlier. We're like, dude, how many times are we going to be able to see Ronaldo and Messi play? It's kind of getting that nostalgia feel. Like anytime you get to see them go head to head, you kind of want to embrace it and go, "Ooh, yeah, okay," because the sunset's the sun's setting on those two, so
20
it's great to watch that.
2024 when LAFC plays Inter Miami.
That's if Ronaldo's allowed back in the country.
He'll be allowed in Miami. That's like a weird kind of fantasy land that we just kind of let
So
happen.
Messi's going to play in LA.
Yes, Messi's going to go to LA.
Okay.
I feel I don't think any of them, like, again, I tell you, there's only 3 cities they want to come to, and I don't think either one of the gentlemen want to be cold right now. So I'm going to say LA and Miami, respectively.
Yeah, I was going to say old people hate the cold, so they're not going to go to New York.
Plus,
Yeah.
the ownership groups of both of those clubs are much more interesting than the New York clubs. Like, you have a Mia Hamm Garcia Parra, a Magic Johnson, you know, a Beckham. Those are much more interesting people.
We need Kevin Durant to step up his game. Come on, Kevin.
I mean, I'm not going to be that guy, but I'm saying if Kevin Durant just showed up a little more often, that can mean huge for the Union moving forward. But he's too much of an antisocial individual, so
We've got plans for him in February. Don't worry. We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk.
Devin, do you have anything more on Champions League? Do we have anything else we need to talk
Well,
about?
I mean, there is some things I'm sure we all want to talk about that in the PSG versus Istanbul.
Oh, I was gonna talk about Chelsea's tie today, but hey, okay, whatever.
Well, they were already qualified.
I know.
Undefeated. That's all you gotta say.
It was a nightcap.
Unbeaten, I should say.
Unbeaten in group stage play.
So let's get into. Let me. If we're gonna talk PSG Istanbul, let's also throw in for the theme of today, Millwall and Queens Park Rangers. Let's just lump that into one whole big sloppy snowball, and let one Mr. Adam Booth throw that snowball at the racist Santa Claus and see what happens.
It's like a pie. It's like a pie of bigotry. It's a flaky bigotry pastry. No, so look, man. As a African American sports fan who likes pretty much all sports, you know, there have been a lot of sports that have deemed for African Americans and deemed not. And at least in this country, a lot of people don't consider soccer a black sport, if you will. Mainly that's because of probably the pay-per-play formats, the fact that it's super popular in the suburbs, all the other racial stereotypes you want to throw out there, they're there. So me being a soccer fan, I have experienced a lot. I played in the main line, you know. I've been called the N-word more times than I can remember. I've been called every epitaph for being a black person, for being possibly homosexual. You know, I've gotten verbal abuse out the wazoo to the point where I almost had to fight someone for calling me a derogatory term for homosexuals right in front of my sister, who is a lesbian herself. Was ready to fight. So the fact that shitty sports fans and players and competition exist is as old as the sands of the Sahara, you know, so I'm not shocked by this in any capacity. But what I really want to stress to these people are, it's not that your days are numbered. You're allowed to be racist for the rest of your life. You know, that's fine. If that's how you want to, you know, operate, if that's your modus operandi, that's fine. But we ain't tolerating that shit no more. It's just not gonna happen like that anymore. I know y'all have gone through 150 years of saying whatever the hell you wanted to say in your dingy little stadiums across the darkest parts of England, Ireland, the Netherlands, you know, Sweden, and all parts and beyond. I've heard all the shit from Serie A to all the stuff in the Greek league, everything. That shit's not going to continue because the number one thing that's going to happen is black people are going to be in your jerseys. They're going to be on your teams. They're going to be representing your badges. The same way Juventus had to get over that shit because Weston McKennie just gave them a golazo today. The same way that, you know, PSG has to get over that shit because of Mbappe. All of this stuff is going to have to be extinguished. And look, you're not going to 100% foolproof it. It's the same people who yell racist shit at the Union game, and I have to take all my composure to not beat them to death with a megaphone. You know? It's never going to stop being happening. But what I'm going to tell you is there are going to be consequences now for that. We're going to stop games. Your team's going to lose points. You know? When San Diego Loyal literally forfeited a game because Phoenix Rising would not take a player off who said a racial epitaph. We're going to stop games. We're going to change the sport, whether you like it or not. So look. If you want to be racist, be racist. Keep that shit at home. Otherwise, your team's going to have to do a fucking forfeit or they're going to have to postpone their match till tomorrow. Because here's the fun part. Your team doesn't want you to be racist. Because half of them, they're not racist themselves. It's a crazy concept. I know. They don't want racists supporting them. Like, as a capo, I don't want racist people giving me compliments. I don't care if you like what I do here. I'm jucking and jiving for half y'all. I don't care if you like what I'm doing. But in that you bring that shit to my fucking front door, we're going to have a conversation. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, you're acting like racists can have conversations, but okay.
They can have chants. They
Yeah.
can at least formulate sentences. I know that much.
It's you know, you sit there and you hope that it will end. But like you said, it's never going to end. But you know what? It's not acceptable. It's not laughed at anymore. It's not like you're going to, I'm going to whisper this word. My buddies are going to chuckle. No, they're not. So, like you said, leave that shit at home. Devin, speaking of leaving shit at home, we got anything to wrap up, or we missed anything? We need some wrapping up to do?
Yeah, so before you wrap up, let me just go back to the whole Millwall thing real quick, because there's a few parts of this that I don't know if everybody knows, the full story behind everything. I mean, obviously there's the actual incident of what happened when the players knelt and the fans booed and whatnot. But it's the entire events after that I think I'm almost more surprised with than the actual event itself. Like the supporters club released a statement the same day that, as
Devin,
I can quote here.
hold on real quick. Let me just recap this for everyone. So for Sons of Ben, Millwall, they are technically the people that we borrowed the "No One Likes Us" chant. They are exactly what you think that group is like. Think Euro trip, toothless Euro soccer fans stuck in the 70s, 80s. That's Millwall.
Lazio.
South London. So when they were first to be allowed in the stadiums, and when the teams knelt, just like every other team in sports have knelt for Black Lives Matters, they decided that only 10% of them that were allowed in the stadiums, they were going to use their voice and boo. Now let's fast forward to today, where Queens Park Rangers, when they score, they went to, it's called the Den. It's the river end section, and they knelt and raised their fists up in front of these racist assholes. Now get back to now that we wrapped up some people know.
And yes, amazing on them for doing that. I just wanted to note on the supporters club that released a statement, which is obviously, the fans who were probably booing them in the first place. We fervently believe that the motives of these boos were not racist. Like, just take that quote real quick and explain to me how that is.
What are you booing? What are you booing? What are you booing?
They believe.
What are you booing?
At a time of heightened awareness and with the country watching, the choice of those individuals was always going to damage their club and be perceived by the media as racist. So basically, they went on to basically say that they weren't booing. They tried to say that they're not booing the kneeling. They're booing that kneeling is not bringing any change in the game. And they don't believe that.
So they're like second level thinkers in Millwall, right? We all believe that.
So why is that? They included some quotes in here. It's just here's a quote here for. There's an argument that the gesture itself has run its course, none more eloquently put than our next opponent's director of football, Les Ferdinand. One of the quotes here: "Taking the knee will not bring about any change in the game. Actions will." I don't even know what to say about that.
What were you booing? What were you like? Look, man. No one's out here believing that these people kneeled. Now racism is bleeping solved. Like, no one's that stupid. Like, why are we pretending that the global populace is dumb enough to believe we just solved racism with a goddamn knee? No one's saying that. The people taking the knees are not even saying that.
Here's the thing. I don't want you guys thinking logically right now, because, listen, when you go to London, you get in the tube, the subway. You go from central London, and it's 2020, and you get off in South London in Millwall, and it's Austin Powers 1960. There's no fucking logic to these people, because it is the deep South. Even though it's London, it's that mentality. So for these guys to even have a press release is ridiculous, because I don't know who spell checked it for them. There was 2 words that had 2 syllables in it. I'm shocked they even got that out.
Well,
I mean, there's
why
no
are all
logic,
these South
and
Side so
whatever
racist?
they say about this is total bullshit, and you know it's bullshit. And I'm sure when they were typing it, they're like, "We're just typing a bunch of bullshit and see if people believe it." They're
just put a cap on it.
scumbags. Yeah,
They turned off replies on the Twitter post.
course,
So,
yeah.
there you go.
Look.
I mean,
I'm not a crime and punishment kind of guy. You know, I don't even believe I'm not saying like, all right, now dock the supporters group or ban them or any of this shit. Look, they're allowed to voice their opinions, all right? I mean, they're stupid, they're dumb, and I hate them, but they're allowed to voice them. And I'm not going to be like, and that's not what I'm angry about. What I'm angry about is this idea that, does Millwall have any players that are not white? There's like any?
I'm sure.
So what is their response to this? Like as a player for Millwall, you see this, you hear this from not a small contingency, but a very vocal contingency of your fan base. What are you supposed to feel?
Adam, I think anybody that plays for Millwall, black, white, Asian, wants the same thing.
Of course.
To get the hell out of Millwall.
Well, I mean,
Nobody wants to. They don't even want the paycheck. They want to get out.
But it's just like, look, I'm a Chelsea fan, right? And Chelsea historically has had really bad fans, and it's known across the globe. To this day, I still feel disgusted when I think about that match between Chelsea and PSG in Paris, where they literally pushed a black guy off of a subway and said, "We're racist." Like, I hate associating myself with that part of the club. You know, that sucks. But this is what I'm saying is like, we've allowed that to fester for so long in these stadiums, in these arenas. Like, look, fuck the pub. I can't say what anyone's going to say in their bleeping bars and at their homes. I'm not here to police that shit. But what I'm saying is, you got to get this out of the game, because not because it's the right thing to do, but duh. Not because it's the moral thing to do, but duh. But it's going to stop the freaking sport. You're just going to interrupt soccer. These guys are not going to play anymore. They're just not. Both Istanbul and PSG left the pitch because a 4th official said something. Not even 5th. Yep. A 4th official said something, so they postponed the match. If they hear that, if another banana is thrown in Serie A, they're going to burn that shit to the ground. What do you think this is now? People have spent the entire 2020 pandemic inside their houses, doing with all their mental health issues, whatever's been festering in their minds. And you know what the thing that's been outside their door half the time is blatant amounts of racism that no one's doing shit about. And you know what the funniest thing about this is? The fact that we ignored the fact that the 23-year-old black man was shot in his house a couple of days ago by the police officers, and that's just another one we could add to this laundry list of what we had in our 2020 year. We're going to ignore that, and we're just going to talk about the fact that a bunch of Millwall fans can't handle a knee. Look, I don't got time for this shit anymore. I don't got time for the people who are too stupid to realize we're not asking for anything but our goddamn lives. This ain't deep. We're not asking for world domination, a sovereign nation. We're not asking for asylum. We're asking to breathe air. And you're going to boo us asking to breathe air? What am I supposed to say to that? What's my response to that?
No, there's no response. Devin, you asked for it. How do you wrap that up now, buddy, huh?
Everybody, it's Adam. Hi, how are you doing? I hope you enjoyed this lovely broadcast that we had today. I know we haven't said this in a while, but if you want to, please like, subscribe, 5 stars, because this content don't come anywhere else, and you know it. And Devin, you know I hope you put the smooth jazz behind this when I started the low bass tone here, you know, because now that I've had my nasal surgery, I'm getting real sexy with the voice now, so you know how this is going. Maddie, now, back to you.
Everyone, let me give you a little sneak peek. Next week, it's going to be the second greatest feat of producer Devin's career after editing this episode. We are going to do an ode, say, to Philadelphia Sports Talk Radio, where Devin swears he can take live callers. So call 610-555-1212 and get your thoughts on Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts, and Brendan Aronson playing quarterback.
John Middleton's an idiot. Signed JT Realmuto.
That's Adam from Allentown. Total one.
Wait, I gotta do my South Philly accent. Sign JT Real Muto. Give him all the money. All right.
That's Midge from Manayunk. Thank you very much. So tune in next week. It'll be a little bit more lighthearted than this week.
Hopefully less racism.
Thanks a lot. And remember, wash your hands.
It was